Every day around 4 in the afternoon, Susan's mother became someone else. In the morning she was calm, recognizable herself. But as the afternoon light began to fade, something shifted. She grew restless and agitated. She became confused about where she was, sometimes insisting she needed to go home, even though she was sitting in the home she'd lived in for 40 years. She got anxious, then frightened, then sometimes angry, accusing, pacing, wringing her hands. She'd ask for people who had died decades ago. By nightfall she could be a stranger, and by morning she was calm again, remembering little of it. Susan was bewildered and exhausted. She thought her mother's dementia was suddenly, wildly accelerating, that these terrible evenings were the new baseline, and that she was losing her mother faster than anyone had warned her. What no one had told her was that this had a name, a predictable pattern, and a set of real strategies that could make it dramatically better. It's called sundowning. And if you're caring for a parent with dementia or cognitive decline, there's a real chance you've seen some version of it, the confusion, agitation, and personality change that arrives in the late afternoon and evening, then fades by morning. It is one of the most distressing, most exhausting, and most misunderstood parts of dementia care. And families are so often left to face it with no name for it and no idea what to do. Today I'm going to explain exactly what sundowning is, why it happens, what triggers it, and, most importantly, the concrete, practical strategies that can reduce it and help you get through those hard evening hours. Because here is the truth at the center of this video. Sundowning is real, it is common, and while it can't always be eliminated, there is a great deal you can do to calm it, and understanding it is the first step to taking back those evenings. Before we go further, if you're caring for a parent with dementia, this is information that can change your daily life, and it works best shared across everyone who helps. Share this video with the family members and caregivers in your parent's life. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now. Every week one publish content exactly like this, clinical, honest, and built for families navigating the care of an aging parent. Subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Let me start with what sundowning actually is, because naming it correctly brings enormous relief to families who thought they were watching a sudden collapse. Sundowning refers to a pattern of increased confusion, agitation, anxiety, restlessness, and behavioral changes that occurs in the late afternoon and evening in some people with dementia or cognitive impairment. The word comes from the timing. It tends to begin as the sun goes down. It's not a separate disease. It's a cluster of symptoms tied to that time of day, and its defining feature is exactly what confused Susan, the fluctuation. The person is often noticeably better in the morning and worse as evening comes. That daily rhythm, calm morning, difficult evening, calm again by the next day, is the signature of sundowning, and it's what distinguishes it from a straightforward, steady worsening of the underlying condition. Understanding this matters because of what it tells you. Those terrible evenings are not necessarily your parent's new permanent state. They're a pattern tied to a time of day, and patterns tied to specific times and triggers are exactly the kind of thing you can influence. Susan wasn't watching her mother vanish. She was watching a daily cycle she could learn to soften. So why does it happen? The honest answer is that it's not fully understood. But researchers point to several factors that come together, and knowing them is the key to addressing it, because each one is a lever you can pull. The leading explanation involves disruption of the body's internal clock, the circadian rhythm. In dementia, the brain's ability to regulate the sleep-wake cycle is often damaged, so the normal signals that tell the body when to be alert and when to wind down become scrambled. As natural light fades, this disrupted clock can produce confusion and agitation instead of a smooth transition toward rest. Layered on top of that are several everyday contributors. Fatigue is a big one. By late afternoon, a person with dementia has spent all day working hard to make sense of a confusing world, and their mental reserves are simply exhausted, leaving less capacity to cope. Fading light creates literal shadows and dimness that the impaired brain misinterprets, turning ordinary rooms into confusing or frightening places. Hunger, thirst, or needing the bathroom can drive agitation in someone who can't clearly communicate the need. Pain or discomfort that's been building all day peaks in the evening. Overstimulation from a busy, noisy household, or the opposite, understimulation and boredom, can both trigger it. And the general disruption of routine that often comes in the evening adds to the disorientation. Notice something about that list. Nearly every factor is something you can address. That's the hopeful core of this video. Sundowning has causes, and causes have countermeasures. If you're finding this valuable, and I hope you are, take 1 second right now and hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach other exhausted families who don't yet have a name for what they're facing. Like and keep watching. Now let me give you the strategies, the practical, concrete things that can actually reduce sundowning and make those evenings more manageable. These are what change daily life. Start with light because it's one of the most powerful and most overlooked tools. Since disrupted circadian rhythm is central to sundowning, managing light helps directly. Get your parent exposure to bright light, ideally natural sunlight, during the day. This helps anchor their internal clock. And as evening approaches, turn on lights before it starts getting dark, so the home stays well lit and shadows don't have a chance to form. That simple act, flipping the lights on early, before dusk, can prevent the shadowy confusion that triggers a difficult evening. Close curtains at dusk, too, so the darkening window doesn't become a source of agitation. Next, protect the routine, because predictability is deeply calming to a person with dementia. Keep daily activities, meals, rest, bedtime, on a consistent schedule. Structure lowers anxiety because the person doesn't have to figure out what's happening. It's familiar. And plan the day so that the more demanding activities, appointments, and stimulation happen in the morning, when your parent is at their best, leaving the late afternoon and evening calm and simple. Manage the evening environment carefully. As sundowning hours approach, reduce noise, commotion, and overstimulation. Turn off the loud television. Limit the number of people and the chaos. Keep things quiet and calm. At the same time, avoid leaving your parent completely understimulated and bored, which can also trigger restlessness. A simple, soothing activity they enjoy can help. Reduce clutter and keep the space familiar and orderly, since a chaotic environment feeds a chaotic mind. Address the physical needs that so often drive agitation. Make sure your parent isn't hungry, thirsty, or needing the bathroom during these hours. Offer food, fluids, and bathroom trips proactively rather than waiting. Check for pain or discomfort, which they may not be able to express in words. And watch the daily rhythm of rest. An overtired person's sundown's worse, but a long, late afternoon nap can disrupt nighttime sleep. So a short, earlier rest is usually better than a long, late one. Be mindful of diet and stimulants. Limit caffeine and sugar, especially in the afternoon and evening, since both can worsen agitation and interfere with the sleep the person badly needs. And this one matters enormously. Manage your own response, because how you react shapes how the episode unfolds. When your parent is agitated or confused in the evening, stay calm, gentle, and reassuring. Don't argue with them or try to correct their confusion. If your mother insists she needs to go home while she's already home, arguing only escalates the fear. Instead, respond to the emotion underneath. Offer comfort and reassurance. Gently redirect to something soothing. Use a soft voice and a calm presence. Your steadiness is one of the most powerful calming tools available, because distress is contagious, and so is calm. This is the moment where I want to ask you something directly. If this video has finally given a name to something you've been struggling through in the evenings, share it with the family, members and caregivers who share those hard hours. When everyone caring for your parent understands sundowning and uses the same calm approach, the evenings get better for everyone. Share it. Leave a comment below telling me what you've been through or what's helped. Other exhausted families will read it and feel less alone. And subscribe if you haven't yet. I want to address a few more important things because they matter for doing this safely and sustainably. First, always talk to your parent's doctor about sundowning because it's important to rule out other causes. A sudden increase in confusion or agitation can sometimes be driven by something medical and treatable. An infection like a urinary tract infection, pain, a medication side effect, or other issues that need attention. This is especially important if the behavior changes suddenly or dramatically, rather than following its usual pattern. Don't assume every difficult evening is just sundowning without a medical conversation, particularly the first time it appears or if it worsens abruptly. Second, attend to safety. Agitation and confusion in the evening can lead to wandering, falls, or leaving the house. Make sure the home is safe during these hours. Secure doors if wandering is a risk, remove hazards, ensure good lighting to prevent falls, and consider practical safeguards so a confused parent can't come to harm during an episode. And third, this is essential, and I won't skip it. Take care of yourself. Sundowning is genuinely exhausting for caregivers, arriving at the end of the day when you're already depleted, night after night. This kind of relentless strain leads to burnout, and burnout helps no one. Please build in support. Share the evening load with other family members or caregivers, so it doesn't fall on one person every night. Look into respite care so you can rest and lean on caregiver support, resources, and groups where people understand exactly what these evenings feel like. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and caring for yourself is part of caring for your parent, not separate from it. Here's what your family can do today. Recognize the pattern for what it is. If your parent gets more confused and agitated in the late afternoon and evening and calms by morning, that's likely sundowning, a known, common pattern not necessarily a sudden permanent decline. Naming it is the first relief. This week, put the light and routine strategies in place. Bright light and demanding activities in the day. Lights turned on before dusk and curtains closed. A calm, quiet, consistent evening. Make sure hunger, thirst, bathroom needs, and pain are handled proactively in those hours. And talk to the doctor, especially to rule out a medical trigger like infection or pain. Also this week, address safety for the evening hours and, just as importantly, arrange some support for yourself so the nightly load isn't yours alone. Ongoing, keep the routine consistent, stay calm and reassuring rather than corrective during episodes. Adjust the environment as you learn your parents' specific triggers, and protect your own rest and well-being so you can sustain this. Here's what I want you to carry with you from today. Susan's evenings got better. Not perfect. Sundowning rarely disappears entirely, but dramatically more manageable. Once she understood what was happening, she stopped fearing that her mother was vanishing overnight and started working with the pattern instead of being blindsided by it. She turned the lights on at 3:30 before the shadows came. She moved the hard parts of the day to the morning. She kept the evenings quiet, made sure her mother wasn't hungry or hurting, and learned to meet the "I want to go home," not with correction, but with gentle reassurance. And she got her brother to take 2 evenings a week, so she wasn't carrying every single night alone. The chaos didn't fully end, but it softened, and it became something she could hold. That's what I most want you to take from this. Those frightening evenings when your parent seems to become a stranger are not a mystery and not necessarily a collapse. They have a name, a rhythm, and real strategies that help. You are not failing, and your parent is not simply slipping away faster than everyone said. You're facing a known challenge, and now you have real tools to face it. Be gentle with your parent in those hours. Be gentle with yourself, and know that understanding what's happening is the beginning of taking the evenings back. If this video gave you something real, something that named what you've been living, or gave you a strategy to try tonight, please take a moment to like it. Share it with the people who share your parents' care, because these evenings get better when everyone understands them. And leave a comment below telling me what you're navigating, what's helped your family, or what you wish you'd known sooner. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, please subscribe. This is where I publish honest, clinical, practical guidance for families trying to do right by the people they love every single week. Thank you for being here and for caring enough to watch all the way to the end. That attention is exactly what makes the difference. I'll see you soon.